All right, guys, we are here with the Vanley Beacon. It's about to go home. But in front of me, I got Trevor. Trevor, I noticed you're using a very familiar hitch back here.
Yep.
That's the B&W Companion, and this is not for the puck system, so you got it on the goose ball. How do you like it?
Love it. Love it. Stable. I tow a lot of super heavy stuff. Probably 9 out of 10 of the trailers I pull for this company are fifth wheels. That hitch, that hitch has seen everything. It's seen the beater filled with people's, like, you know, wooden canoes and rock collections. I mean, it's seen everything. And really the only maintenance it needs is grease right here. So every now and then I just pull this off and I put the white grease on there that's for, you know, super high amounts of tension, and it's been perfect.
Well, we're going to talk about some things. We're going to dive into the RV hauling business. It's good to know you're using a good hitch, good quality. I like your toolbox there in the back as well. So guys, hang tight, I'll be right back. So today's an interesting day. I got Trevor here with Horizon Transport. He's got his beautiful long box Ram 3500 two-wheel drive truck, if I'm not mistaken.
No, 4.
It is 4?
Yeah,
oh,
you'd
wow.
be crazy to do this job without it.
I was about to say, but it sits a little lower, so I figured that it might be two-wheel drive.
Yeah, it does. It sags a little. I don't have airbags on the back end of it.
Still a pretty truck. How's it been for you?
This guy, it's incredible, actually. This is the first diesel I've ever owned. About 95% of the guys that do this job have a Ram 1-ton because I've got just under 500,000 miles on it, and I've had maybe $5,000 worth of repairs.
Was it any emission stuff?
No.
Really?
Believe it or not, yeah, no emissions. And the regular service, I mean, you had to have the dev serviced at 350. But these things are absolutely bulletproof.
What year is this one?
Insane. It's a 17.
17, man, 500,000, almost 500,000 miles on it.
I think I'm going to take it to 1 million. And then I'll just retire it and have it as my, you know, my play truck at home, and I'll just get another one of these exactly like this and just keep going.
That's awesome. So what's the best part of RV transport?
Oh man, there's a lot. The freedom is the biggest part, and flexibility. So you can go anywhere you want. You can work whenever you need to, and when you don't, or when you can't, you don't have to beg somebody for time off.
Yeah,
you know, you don't have to I mean, your boss always ends up ruining your time off anyways, because they tell you they need more something from you. So yeah, so basically and the pay is incredible. You know, I make more than VPs do in most companies.
So would you say that do you prefer RV transport over standard hotshot, or do you do both?
I don't do any hot shot because they have a lot more headaches.
Yeah.
I mean, this, you just pick up the box, it's all wrapped up. All you got to do is make sure everything is locked, and you check the lugs and the brakes are good, and you go. And when you get to your destination, you unhook and drive away. Those hot shot guys, they make twice. I talked to some that make twice what I do. I talked to a guy that grossed like $8,000, $6,000 per week. Gross. Man. And but he told me what he had to do to go through with it.
You're hunting for loads all the time and working with brokers all the time to make that work, right?
Yes, and when you sign on with a group like Indiana Transport or Horizon or whatever, you've got a dispatcher watching your back. I've literally never been without work. In fact, right when COVID started, all these manufacturers started shutting down, and I had maybe 3 or 4 days where I was dicey and whether I was going to be able to find any work or not. And then,
do you do a lot up in Indiana, or primarily for the folks over at Tiffin?
A lot for these guys. I like these guys. The quality of this product. See, I mean, we pull a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to name names, you know, but I've delivered fifth wheels and travel trailers to dealerships, and the slide outs won't even open. You know, I've picked up brand new trailers, and the tires blew out. They're brand new tires, the cheap tires. Get to dealerships, ceiling fans have fallen down. I mean, it's insane. These guys, you get to a dealership, the techs are all excited. They're like, okay, all right, let's make sure, you know, they go inside, it's pristine, there's nothing wrong.
That's amazing. You know, the fact is, when I first got this unit to start the 6-month review I did on it, There were a couple minor things that I had to fix. The only one that was transportation related was one of those little glass domes over an LED ceiling light. It had unscrewed and fell. It didn't break or anything. I just screwed it back in. But you're right. Every manufacturer I walk through, if I get on a unit, when it gets on their lot, stuff's falling apart somewhere. The door trim, the trim's coming off the tops, things have fallen apart. This unit had absolutely none of that. And I'm being 100% honest. And you transport them. So you know.
And I've owned 3, not of these, but I own like a travel trailer toy hauler, and I've been in the industry. I did television and video for a long time for Camping World, so I've done all of it. But here's the deal: customers always attack the dealership when something goes wrong, and honestly, it's less. Most times, it's less about what went wrong at the dealership. A lot of times, it's about what went wrong when the thing was being built. You wouldn't believe it when you pick these things up. Sometimes, like the wiring, travel trailers, they get so sloppy with the wiring. You got wiring harnesses hanging down. I've even picked up, again, I won't say the name, but a high quality, quote unquote, travel trailer line. I picked it up and I looked underneath it. It had a generator on it, and the fuel line for the generator was touching the ground. So if I drove off with it, there's no fuel in it, but it would have just wasted that line. I get up front and I do a check up front, and the propane line was the same thing. The whole trailer was so low to the ground, both of those lines, anyways.
So here's a question for you. Honest answer, you can choose not to answer it if you don't want. But of all the brands that you have towed, which ones would you say generally rise to the top in terms of arriving where they need to be in good shape? I know that's kind of a loaded question.
Well, honestly, it's the manufacturers that produce fewer per year. Across the board.
They can spend more time on it.
They do, and they have more checks and cross checks before they come off of the line. You can nitpick every time we go to pick one up. If somebody had just, for some reason, that wasn't a full body paint, they had just put on a tab here and they had forgot to get it painted before they put it on. It's easy to pick that kind of stuff out. It's the little things like that. But the guys that produce the $29.95 trailers, you're probably going to have problems with them, because when we pick them up, a lot of times we can't even get them somewhere without the tires blowing out, and they're supposed to be brand new.
And a lot of it is probably due to unforeseen road conditions at times too, right? You have RVs that don't have any type of enhanced suspension. They're running cheaper tires. You hit a big pothole, or if somebody swerves into your lane, runs you off the side, these chassis, they're made to go over the highway, but they're not made to go over that kind of highway condition, right?
Right. You wouldn't believe how bad our highways are. Until I started this job, I thought all those stories were jokes, but they are not. So suspension, from top to bottom, that you need to have the best quality you could get. Really, if you're going to keep it for 5, or not 5, you usually don't pay it off till 7 years. So if you're going to keep it for 10 years, I wouldn't go cheap on it, unless you don't plan on ever reselling it and you're just going to tow it to a junkyard when you're done.
I was actually really impressed with this unit in terms of just overall fit and finish when it arrived. Like I said, I had some issues with it, but none of the issues I had with it were due to transportation. They were honestly due to stuff that they forgot to do, or they just didn't do correctly at the factory when it was built. But the entire route here, it withstood the road, and all the trips we took it on exceptionally well. We didn't have any major issues. And I always talk to people, like, a minor suspension upgrade can mean the difference between your RV lasting 10 years or lasting 2 years, right?
Or leaving you on the side of the freeway.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a biggie. Just an extra $750 for an upgraded suspension system makes an enormous difference. Even if it's $1,500, it's worth it. I totally agree.
Any final words for my viewers?
Subscribe and like.
Yeah, I forgot. He actually didn't know he was subscribed to my channel until he asked for the channel name, and then he realized that he was already subscribed to it, so I appreciate that. Here's one. Criticism for me, anything that I'm doing wrong, anything that I'm not doing, or you think that I'm misrepresenting. I always talk about half tons, and you don't want to tow huge travel trailers with half tons, or even a fifth wheel with a half ton. I just don't think they're set up for the payload.
They're not in windy conditions. I had to pull over not too long ago. Legally, we're supposed to stop at 25 mile per hour sustained. And I got out to a place where it was 40 mile per hour sustained. And so I pulled over and just decided to wait until the next day. And you could sit there in the window of the restaurant and watch people with travel trailers, tiny little travel trailers and stuff, still going by, and they're doing this, and they keep going. That's a huge no-no. takes nothing.
A lot of people use the tail wagging the dog thing. The way I like to say it is, if you're pulling like a small little poodle behind you, you can control it because you have the power and weight to do it.
Right.
If you are trying to pull a huge 200-pound dog behind you, it's going to dictate how you walk. And that's what I tell people about trucks. A light half-ton truck is going to really be impacted by how a trailer applies pressure towards it when it's windy, when you're running into those types of strange conditions. A big heavy-duty truck has more control of the weight behind it and manages it. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I usually, like, for my preference, I usually like to stop at 36 feet. The ultimate configuration after towing these things in rain and snow and wind and everything else would be a fifth wheel that's 36 feet long, because you've got the weight you need for stability, and then you've got the pin in the middle of the bed for even more stability.
Yeah.
And then if you've got a dually on top of that, you've got the most stable platform all the way around for the full deal.
Yeah. Well, Trevor, I appreciate you coming on the channel. I just asked you real quick.
You're
Thanks
better
again.
looking in person, so that's all good.
Everyone thinks so, right? So,
Right.
Well, you be safe on the road. Thanks again, buddy.
Right on. Thank you.
All right, guys, really cool. He works for Horizon Transport. Excellent job getting everything set up, coming out. Definitely, he was on time. He was actually a little bit early. But yeah, this is the last time you'll see this Vanley beacon on the channel. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and wish him luck on the road. Now I'm gonna miss it. That thing is a beast. And it looks great too.